Hey guys, I'm Michael Long from TravelCostaRicaNow.com, and I have been arrested in Costa Rica. And I'm going to tell you that story totally at my expense for your entertainment and probably chagrin. So I'm not sure. Well, I do know why I'm telling you this. I'll get to that in a minute. But I'm not wearing my glasses, if you notice, because I just won't be able to take me watching your judgment. That's not true actually either. The reason I'm not wearing glasses is two reasons. One is I don't need notes for this video because I lived it and I know the story. And B, there's a light that was reflecting in my glasses that would be very annoying to you as watching this video. And I thought I'd use this backdrop because I thought it looked a little jail-like. We're gonna get to that in a second. Just give me a minute. We do have that relocation retreat coming up in, early March. I think March 5th. It lasts 7 days. If Costa Rica is on your radar, you want to make absolutely sure if Costa Rica is right for you. You do not want to move down here, set down roots, and within a year and a half or so realize Costa Rica is not right for you. This retreat will save you all that frustration. You will know after this seminar whether Costa Rica is right for you or you should be looking for somewhere else. We'll be providing the good, the bad, the ugly about living in Costa Rica. Nobody's going to blow smoke. No one's going to try to sell you anything. I know that because I'm going to be speaking, and I'll make sure you get the real skinny. And I would love to hang out with you guys. It's my favorite thing to do. When there's some downtime, we'll sit around the pool. You can ask me any question you want, and I'll be as transparent as possible. And I would love to see you there. So all that information is at a link in the description down here. It'll take you to all the info and prices and all that. All right, so I wasn't re- so I was going to do an answer a question video, where you guys asked me questions and emails and stuff, and I was going to answer some of them. And I kind of came up with this thing that I'm about to tell you, but I was like, man, that's kind of a story, and it probably deserves its own video. And then what happened 3 days ago, I was like, okay, maybe it's time to tell the story. So this guy came up to me in the grocery store 3 days ago, and he's like, "Do you remember me?" This is in Spanish, but I know enough Spanish to know. He said, "Do you remember me?" And I meet a lot of people, man. I meet a lot of people. I usually know faces, but it was similar, but I didn't really know. But when he started telling me the story within 2 sentences, I like, oh shit, I know who you are now. He was involved in my arrest. And once I found out who he was, I actually apologized for that time about 7 years ago. And he's like, it's okay. And I was thinking, you didn't think it was okay at the time. But he gave me a break and was cool about it. And then so it all kind of circled around. I was at a different place in my life back then. Yeah, I know that 6, 7, 8 years ago doesn't seem like a long time ago, but the way my life has gone, it kind of is. I was drinking more back then. I still work. I'm still hard worker when I drink, by the way. I mean, and I think that's kind of important. I'm not a bum when I drink. You know what I mean? So I was drinking back then. I had a different kind of mindset. I've always been kind of a problem, a little bit of a problem child my whole life. Just as I've gotten older, I've got grips on it now. I can keep myself in check with no problem. And the things I used to do back in the day, like a lot of you guys, with our cringy, right? There was a time when I was married in my early 20s that my wife, when I used to go out with the fellas, she'd go, "We don't have bail money for you tonight. We don't have bail money." I thought that was pretty funny. Anyway, but again, long time ago. So anyway, my friend was having a birthday. It was his birthday. And he is the nicest guy, just that nice guy, a hard worker, makes good money, has a car, has a house, wouldn't harm anybody. If the police were going to pull him over, he's yes, sir, and he's going to do everything. He's a good guy. Probably the total opposite of me sometimes. But anyway, he was going to have a little get together at night, go out for some drinks and stuff. And he's a Tico, and all his friends are Tico. And 6 or 7 years ago, you think my Spanish is bad now. It was bad then, but I don't mind. I don't mind just sitting and listening. I got no problem with that. I don't feel left out or anything. But we went to this place and had a couple beers. Now, I don't know. I can't really recall. And back then, I might have had 30 beers for breakfast. I'm not really sure. I don't think so, if I remember the story correctly. We had just had a few beers. And for me, a few beers is nothing. For some other people, a few beers might be, more meaningful in their behavior. But we just had a few, and they didn't want to stay there because it was boring, and they were thinking about going to a club. For some reason, I don't know why, I did not want to go to a club. I'm not sure what got in my brain. I got pissy about it, and I was like, my friend, like, man, really? But I got overruled, and it was his birthday, so I kind of shut the fuck up. And so we're walking to the car. I don't. This is so stupid and embarrassing. So I'm kind of lagging behind. I'm actually by myself. I'm carrying a beer. I had to drink the rest of it, right? So they're on the way to the car, and they're all ahead of me by about maybe like 10 feet or so. For some reason, I take the beer bottle and I throw it at a sign that was, 5 feet away or whatever. Hits the sign, breaks. I keep going, and within 2 minutes, I was handcuffed. I was like, "Uh-oh, whoops." Uh, Now, again, I've had some issues way back in the day. Me being handcuffed is not really kind of a big deal. I don't get all shook like that. Again, I've changed a lot. I am not this. And again, actually, this story is an anomaly. It's not like even when I was doing my drinking thing that I was, causing havoc. I've lived here for 17 years. I've had maybe two run-ins, this being probably, the biggest one, not almost nothing. So, I mean, this isn't an anomaly story, just so we're clear, so we're real clear. So I'm handcuffed and I'm like, shit, so we're in Fortuna. We're in, my town. So the police quarters is just, a mile down the road or whatever. And so my good friend, being a good friend, I was telling him, go have fun, man. I'll take care of this. Don't even worry about it. Well, him being a good friend, he follows me. I'm sitting there. Now, if he wouldn't have came, this is where I'm hoping you give me a little bit of leeway. Because remember, I'm drinking a little bit, but give me a little bit of leeway because my heart was in the right place. He did follow me. Now, if I would have just stayed there, I just would have stayed there, and whatever happened, happened. I wouldn't have caused any kind of issue because I did throw a bottle at a sign. I mean, I can take that consequence, whatever it is. It wouldn't have been much, I don't think, but I would have taken it. But when he came in, they end up arresting him. You know why? Because he had a couple beers, and yes, he was a little buzzed. He was not drunk, but he drove his car to come see if I was okay. So as soon as I saw that they arrested him, I got extremely, extremely belligerent. I mean, really belligerent. What I was thinking in my alcohol-driven mind, that if I can cause enough trouble, they'll kind of forget about him. I don't know what I was thinking. Forget about him. I mean, I was up in their face. I was like, "Come after me, fuck you." I was not good. I was like taunting them. I did not touch them. There was no physical altercation, but I was, let's say, promoting. We can go there if you want to do some physical altercation. And I got under one guy's skin really bad, and it was the guy actually in the grocery store who's cool now. I apologize, but at the time, he was at a different place in his life too, because he wanted to throw down just as much as I did. But he's in the police station. He has to. So I'm going all out belligerent. My friend's just sitting there. Um, so lo and behold, as belligerent as I was, they let me go. Nothing, no ticket, no nothing. I walked out. Now, I had gotten my friend's keys from his car. Now, I had lived here long enough at that time. You do not want your license plate taken off your car in Costa Rica. That's a whole nother set of issues. So as soon as they let me go, I could not believe this. I couldn't believe it, but they let me go, and they said, just go home, just go home. I got his keys, and I took his car, and let's just say, hit it. And after I hit it, of course, he's my friend. I come back to the police station, and me being me, I started another scene. And they arrested me again. So now, again, I'm being belligerent. I'm trying to put it. I go, just like, take me, leave him alone, let him go. I did this. And I did feel obviously very guilty even at that time. So we're in the same room now. It's a couple policemen and me and my friend. And all of a sudden he goes, Mike, you got to give them my keys. They want my keys. They want my car. I said, yes, I took your car, but I don't know. I gave them to somebody else, and I don't have it. He's like, Mike, no, seriously, I need the keys. They need the car. I was like, dude, I don't have it. I'm not. So he didn't know what I knew, I guess. And again, he's a nice guy. He's gonna comply. I knew that there's no way I'm gonna say. I mean, I knew, of course, I knew where his car was. So did save him from that, and I refused. I was like, I would give you the keys, dude. I would give you the keys. I would tell you where the car is. I don't know. I gave them to one of your friends. I'm not sure what happened. I came back here. So never did give him the keys, and they never got his license plate. So I'm still kind of belligerent. Now I can't remember what happened with him. He now we're separated. I'm in a room. It's getting later. It's like 1 a.m. There's one policeman watching me. I've settled way down. We're starting to talk, and, and the policeman tells me he has back problems. We get it, and I show him exercises in where we were at on how to relieve his back. So ends up 2 in the morning, 2:30 in the morning, whenever it was 3, they let me go again with nothing. Not a ticket, not a slap on the wrist, not like you got to come back tomorrow. We know none of it. And I was like, wow, this is crazy because guess what happened to my friend? $1,000 fine ended up being $1,000 fine. He had to go to the city. They always, um, when you get arrested here, you end up in Ciudad Quesada, San Carlos. It's an hour away where the main like FBI and those people are. So you always have to go there like the next day. So I did go with him. He ends up getting $1,000 fine and 100 hours of community service. This took him, and I think he had to get a lawyer for all that. I got nothing. Now, of course, I was like, dude, this is all my fault. I did pay that $1,000 for him. I could not do the $100. I mean, I'm sorry, the 100 hours. He had to do the community service, but I did pay for all his stuff because it kind of was my fault. But the weird thing, I always look back, and he did too, that they didn't do anything. He was Mr. Compliant, and I was the opposite. And now, was it because I was a gringo? I don't even know. They might have known that I made videos, and maybe they thought I'd make a video about them. I'm actually not sure. I never found out. I totally deserve to be arrested and, get a consequence for my behavior, or, pick up the beer bottle or something. I mean, I got nothing. Nothing. And of course, that causes guilt and shame. I felt like I mean, it's a cringy story. I mean, looking back on this is pretty embarrassing. I was at the time 55 or so. So that's my big story about getting arrested. I tried to do as good, and we are still friends to this day. So we kind of laugh about the story. I tried to make it as right as I could for him. They didn't get his license plate, and I gave him all the money he needed for lawyer and the fine and all that. So, yeah, I'm a much now. Uh, Again, always been a little bit of a rebel, so don't judge too harshly. I wouldn't recommend getting in, coming to Costa Rica and starting, doing our North American uh, craziness here. But again, I don't know why I want to keep saying this, but I just want to make sure you know that this was an anomaly story. I wasn't, again, creating havoc, for the 17 years I've been here. So that's my story. Tell me what you think. Why do you think that they let me go? I mean, was it a gringo thing? Was it, oh, maybe they just thought I was a tourist and they don't want a bad story, coming out? Um, Now, real quick, this guy was an acquaintance, but he was a gringo and he was only down here for a few months. I know him, but not, not super friends. But what happened with him, he was at the grocery store, and a Tico person accidentally left their wallet at the checkout. He stole the wallet. Again, just an acquaintance. I just know the story. He They came to the house, circled the house. They ended up getting him. He ripped up everything, and they never really. He he did get arrested. He did get taken to Ciudad Quesada, but not a whole lot happened to him either. But he did have. I can't remember what the exact consequence was. It's not like that they won't follow up. He was totally, gringo too, and he didn't give him a hard time. But he did what they thought he did. Um, Actually, I do remember now. Sorry, he made it right, even though he chopped up the guy's driver's license and charge cards. He gave him money. He offered. I guess that's what they did. They took him to an ATM. Yeah, I can't remember. I believe that I remember this now. He actually had to go to an ATM. He got a bunch of money out and gave it to the guy, and that was it. So I guess if you get arrested down here, you got options. I'm Michael Allen, travelcostarica.now.com. These guys hope it's not going to help. You're probably not, you're not going to get arrested. Things are going to pop up. Think about living or traveling anywhere. Always do your homework and research. And if it's Costa Rica, I'll put our videos with anybody. All right, man. Ciao.